So you can see Kubica all over every single advertisement that's on TV over here. He's absolutely, him and Lewandowski, they're like kings of Poland, man. You know, it's not just cars and oil, he's advertising hot dogs, bro.
Go on, introduce, Viz, come on. Who are we looking at?
He's Levi, the cockapoo, and he's got social anxiety. You know, Leclerc or Russell or Lando, it's just like, they're literally just lads. If they weren't good at driving a car, they would just be down, you know, down Manchester on a night out, down Waikiki Tuesdays, you know, they'd be loving it.
Welcome back to The Cool Down. Don't forget to check out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe as well. Don't you forget. Today's guest is someone a little bit different, someone who's not known for Formula One, but if you're into your FIFA, you might have heard of Liam Waddington, otherwise known as Vizeh, the biggest Burnley fan on YouTube and resident of Poland, which means there's some great Robert Kubica insight coming up. Hope you enjoy podcast 23, Vizeh. Viz, mate, thank you so much for coming on. Look, you've got so much. So you've just had a kid. You've moved from Burnley to Poland. You're building a house. You're a full-time streamer and you make YouTube videos. Like, how have you made time for me? And how is life, my man?
I don't even know at this stage, man. First thing, massive fan of the channel. I really, really like your stuff. There's a certain style which, like, I've never actually seen another YouTuber have the way you do your videos. Massively love it, man. So, thank you for having me on, honestly. And
cheers, boss.
I get about my life. Poland's cheap, beer's cheap. That's really all I need to say, really, about that.
Can't argue with that, man. And also, obviously, you know, you're known for football. We can see the insane setup you got in the background, the beautiful Ensley Burnley shirt as well. You are an OG F1 fan. We talked a little bit about this before. Because with YouTube, it's right, isn't it? It's like, you know, you do football content and I think people think, oh, you just know football. Like, and you kind of get pigeonholed into this one thing. But actually, like, you've been following F1 for a long time. Like, what's your earliest kind of F1 or like even motorsport kind of story? When do you first remember kind of switching on and thinking, I like this?
It was my granddad. My granddad was really into F1. My dad as well, he's into more motorsports and bikes and more into extreme kind of sports. Like my dad, like the weird thing is that my entire family, this includes grandmas and granddads and uncles and aunties, no one cares about football other than my two brothers. So like, I really had full reign to pick what I really wanted. I could have been into badminton if I wanted to, or like, you know, a bit of golf. I had full reign. But my granddaddy and my dad, they both liked a bit of F1, and it was just out and about in the house. It was just sometimes just on in the background. My first real, like, clear memory was, well, I mean, it's obvious, but it's back in 2008 when Hamilton took over Glock at Sao Paulo. And I just remember just being in my granddad's living room, and I could, like, tell you about, like, the weather on that day and the smell of the room. And I was there with my brother Ash was there, and I remember just watching it thinking, this is sick. This is sick. Because, like, I guess that's when it's not really got that exciting in F1 since literally about a month ago. So of course that memory in my head, it's like, this is F1, yeah. And maybe because I was a Hamilton fan back then, I still am a fan now, but like, it's weird. It's like your opinions on drivers, like you like almost 10 different people, but you can't tell which one you like more than another. It's like, I just like most of them.
Because I mean, compared to football, like where football, you kind of, your allegiance is with teams, you know, players come and go. And it's like a loyalty, it's an undying. You'll always be Burnley, I'll always be West Ham. But with F1, it's more character based, isn't it? So I guess maybe that's why it changes over time, I suppose, because that dynamic is different.
Oh, it's so tribal in football. And to be fair, F1's going that way now. I mean, with social media, I mean, Jesus Christ, we could be here for half an hour about F1 Twitter, man. Honestly, I've never been so scared of my life. I remember it was at Jeddah that I tweeted out saying that, you know, Verstappen's in the wrong for what he did. And man, I've never regretted a decision more in my life in the first 5 minutes. Like, oh man. Because people, like, they just don't care if it's what's right or wrong. It's just, yeah, but I like this guy. And he's right because I say so and I like him. And it's like, you might as well just talk to a brick wall at that stage.
Well, that's what I mean, because I think, like, for me, sports support, it would be like, for example, like, if you endorsed and supported every single decision Burnley Football Club made, like completely blindly, even if they had a shocker, oh, it was the ref, it's all fixed, it's corrupt. Like, it's an equivalent. You can support, and this is what, like, you know, people go at me and say, like, oh, why do you support Albon? It's like, hang on, I don't support based on success. I support based on connection and feeling. That's what it is for me. And it's like, I don't know. It's like these old United fans, right, who are still living off their glory days. When
you go straight to United fans. They're so easy to go for, aren't they? They're so easy.
But it's
to do
true,
man.
It's like living off past glory. They can't do anything wrong. Look, there is some, you know, who slam the team. Fair enough, but there's just the delusion. I think there's more delusion within F1 Twitter than there is within football Twitter, if you ask me.
I feel like because there's a lot more that can kind of, there's a lot more things that I feel like is out of the control, out of, like, for a football team with how they perform, it's usually because they perform bad or good. You know, there's a VAR decision or a referee, but there's a lot more factors that could be out of your hands in F1, I feel. You know, and I feel like it becomes a lot more frustrating because, I don't know, with football, there's a lot more time to kind of, like, be good and to win a game. There's a lot more time to, you know, recover from your mistakes. But in F1, it's almost so slim, the minute differences between one driver to another. And, like, one little mistake, some guy gets in a way in a qualifying lap. It's like, I just feel like it kind of bubbles up a bit too much in F1 at times, especially in the last 12 months. Before that, it was a bit dull, let's be real, since 2016. But I kind of fell out of love with F1 for a bit of, you know, time, because I remember another memory that it was Australia. It was like 2010, and I just got the F1 2010 game, and I got really into it, and I was just like, sick. Okay, I love F1. I remember waking up on a school night. It was like on a Friday morning. I woke up at, I think it was 3 a.m. to go watch the practice session P1 at Australia Grand Prix, first race of the season, and I was just there thinking, why am I doing this? Because, like, no one's even going around the track in, like, an actual way. So it's like, why am I watching this? It's like 3, 4 in the morning. It's a school morning as well. It's a school night. So it's like, what am I doing? It was on, like, Sky Go or Sky Plus on my Xbox as well.
I think Liberty Media, like the people in charge now, kind of acknowledge that, you know, with a sport like football, you know, you don't tune in to watch the training sessions. You know what I mean? Like, you tune in for the games. You tune in and it's 90 minutes of two teams going at it, like competitive running, okay?
Competitive
and in F1
running.
It's like, well, no, because, like, this is the thing, like, on Fridays, you have to be, like, really, really into Formula One to watch a practice session, to watch cars driving around. There's no, like, because you don't know what fuel loads people are running. You don't know, like, if they're going for quali laps or long run. Like, you have to be so invested in that. And I think that's why, you know, they're bringing in sprint quali. I mean, what do you make of sprint quali? Because for me, it's an inevitability that, again, they're adding something actually competitive on a Friday as well as on the Saturday and Sunday. It makes sense to me. I know it's not perfect, the format, but what have you made of it?
I mean, the actual sprint races themselves is a bit kind of like, I know, it's weird because Brazil was really good. It was really good because of Hamilton the entire time, and he made it exciting. But other than that, the last two, which was Britain and where was the other one again? I forgot completely.
Monza. It
was Monza, wasn't it? Yeah, like, I just completely forgot those two races even existed, really. So it's like, you know, I get it because, you know, I don't really go on a Friday unless it's the first race or last race of the season, you know. So I can see what they're doing. Maybe a few little tweaks here and there, but I'm not the guy with the answers to really say what I think should be done. But I like the fact they're making changes. They're experimenting. I think that's a good thing to do. I think it's better to experiment and try it for a season or two and then move on if it doesn't work.
Yeah, because I think the format of Formula One, you know, it's always changed over time, and I don't think it's quite as precious. I mean, even with, you know, football, with VAR has been the most recent big change, but, you know, they're talking about more substitutes and blah, blah, blah. There's all these, you know, sport has to change. And obviously, you're going to get, you know, some people who just blindly don't like change, but also, like, not all change is good change. So I think sprint's got a way to go for me personally. But talking of your affiliation with Poland, you live there now. Your missus is Polish. Robert Kubica, F1 driver in 2019. Do you have any, like, Robert Kubica affiliation? Do you hear much about Robert Kubica in daily life in Poland? Because his fans I went to Silverstone in 2019. I remember after the race, me and my mate Kerry were walking down the pit lane, and just outside his garage, there were about 30, 40 people just going, Robert Kubica. It was so good. And it's like, you didn't get that with any other drivers. So surely you got to stand Bobby K, surely, mate.
I mean, he's not actually, he's not actually on the track, but when he is, in Poland, you could definitely feel it if he actually is racing. I remember I was like just out with Sonia in the summer, and he did a race or two this year, didn't he?
He did two. He did two this season.
He did two, didn't he? I remember just like walking by in the middle of the town I live in, I could see like there's more like when I walk past like a pub or something like that, I can see that F1's on, and I never saw F1 on before that. Yeah. So people care about it when their driver's in it. I mean, Kubica. I'm English, so like I'm still like I like to see Kubica do well just because the vibe around the area is better, really. But I don't really have much affiliation to him at all. It's a bit of a meme though, like I think it's like Forza Kubica. I think that's like his slang word here.
Giga Kubica.
I know, but like F1 in Poland is massive in terms of I think Orlen, like they're like the main sponsor of Alfa Romeo, and like they're absolutely everywhere. So you can see Kubica all over every single advertisement that's on TV over here. He's absolutely him and Lewandowski. They're like kings of Poland, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lewandowski. I know Lewandowski's massive, but is Kubica like number 2? I don't know.
I don't, maybe because I watch it when like the sport's on, so I guess he's on more ads. But like he's there advertising, it's not just cars and oil. He's advertising hot dogs, bro. He's advertising just normal things, and like it's like, why is Kubica advertising a different form of like, I don't even know, some sort of yoga pants? And it's like, yeah, fine, yeah. If he gets a bag, so have fun with it, lad.
That is mad because it's such like, obviously Kubica is one of them drivers where it's like what could have been. Obviously after his accident, because he was so good as well. Like he was so good back in like 2008, 2009, 2010. He was like right at the sharp end in terms of talent. But I guess it's nice that he's got the support of Orlen, because that's going to keep him. I think he's got a reserve seat at Alpha, and I imagine that will continue next season. Kubica has to be your kind of adopted son. But what about your actual drivers? Because I know you said like Hamilton was your guy when you were younger. But who now going into 2022? Who are you going to be kind of pulling for first and foremost?
I'll say in the last couple of years I've been more Vettel. I'll say I'm a Vettel fan, me personally. I mean, I think with Hamilton, I still want Hamilton to do well. It's kind of like I guess because I'm a Burnley fan, I kind of always like supporting a guy that's got like a bit of an underdog story to him. So like Hamilton's just so good. It's like I don't like Percy to cheer on the favourite. I don't like to.
Yeah.
And with you may say
Vettel
was the
Burnley
favourite
or a West Ham fan.
Exactly. Yeah. I like to cheer on someone which has something to kind of prove in a sense. And Vettel was the Hamilton back in 10 to 13, and then like everyone hated him. Now everyone loves him. Everyone now loves him. Like I don't think I know a single person that hates Vettel really. Like he's a very easy to love guy. And I like just a bit of I don't like to support the big guy. Like when I was on my streams, I just get people saying, yeah, Max or Lewis or Matt. I'm like, I guess I prefer Verstappen. I prefer Matt just because I think
orange
it's better
top.
for the sport.
He's wearing an orange top, everyone.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Exposed.
But then people was like, they make like nationality like a thing. And it's like, I just think it's better for the sport for Max to win. Because I think it makes the sport more interesting, because no one likes seeing a person dominate. It's like the Bundesliga, no one likes to see Bayern Munich dominate. Like, I just don't want to see the same person dominate. Even though Hamilton, he was wrongly, done over it at the last race. He should have won that race. I think everyone can agree with that. I hope anyway. I like to see something new, really. So next year, and maybe more Hamilton, to be fair, for next year than Max, because I think Hamilton will destroy next year personally, but that's just because I just think that Mercedes I think they're absolutely raging from last season, how it ended, and I think they're just going to just go out and have something to prove. But I'm not an F1 genius, so maybe I'm completely wrong.
You're allowed to be an F1 genius, mate. I can sense the knowledge is there. But no, I think well, it's nice first and foremost that Burnley did do a collaboration with Max Verstappen on that beautiful orange top. But also, yeah, I think it's well. We'll talk about it then. Abu Dhabi season finale. Where were you? Did you watch it live?
I was right here. Yeah. I put my projector up on the wall, man. And I had my Sonia, my fiance's brother with me, and he's a massive Mats fan. So like he was going mad. I was just there thinking, this isn't right. This isn't right, man. This is not. I felt like I was almost sick to my stomach, even though I wanted Mats to win. Not like that, man. It doesn't feel the same to me the way it happened. Now dust is settled. I'm now kind of like, okay, I'm kind of happy, kind of won it because I think that it'll make a good, it'll make it better for next year. I couldn't just feel a bit sick when I saw it happen.
Well, because at the time, were you aware of, because obviously Massey made one decision and then changed the decision, basically. Were you aware of at the time that this was a unusual, because obviously I know Brundle and Crofty on the comms, they were a bit confused, but were you aware at the time? Because to be honest, at the time when I was watching it, because I was live streaming it as well, I was confused, but I didn't really, until I looked into it, obviously afterwards, I wasn't aware that this was a completely new way of enforcing a rule that's existed for, and essentially that the race director had, pulled rank and made up his own rule for the situation. I was like, I didn't really realise that was a thing at the time,
I mean, every single person was a bit confused. I never saw a situation that specific cars can lap, but others can't. Usually it's all can lap or none can lap. So the fact it's only specific cars in between the two drivers. I was kind of thinking at a time that I thought that they were all just going to get out of the way at the first corner. I thought everyone that was in between Mats and Lewis were just going to like, yeah, I don't want to get involved. Because you don't want to be that guy that's like known in history to the guy that got in the way of Verstappen to potentially win a championship. I thought they were all just... Because at the time I was like, oh no, this is going to end under safety. And it's like, this is such a bad way to end off the year. And I guess that's why the decision was made at the time. Because it's like, you don't want to see it end under a safety car, like what it did back in... Was it 2012? That was done under safety?
There's quite a few. I mean, yeah, there's quite a few races, but yeah, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was 2012 that finished under safety.
It was a Force India that crashed, and then it was ended up in the safety car, I think.
That's it. But I mean, you've got ultimately, and the analogy I use with it, it's like if it's a Champions League final and someone goes in studs up in the first 2 minutes, you can't not send them off because it will ruin the game. You know what I mean? Like the rules have to be applied evenly and fairly, and as much as I think over the course of the 22 races Max deserved the championship, Lewis definitely deserved to win that race. But also, like, do you actually think if they'd have gone by the book and the lap cars hadn't, everyone had just stayed in position, do you actually think, what was it? It was Lando, Fernando, Esteban, two others.
It was
can't
four.
remember who.
It was 4 cars.
Vettel,
it?
I think. It was 4 or 5. Do you think that actually would have got out the way, though?
I would think so. I don't know. I don't know if someone... Actually, no, I don't think they would have, because they were all fighting with each other, weren't they, still? They were still fighting for points. So I guess, I don't know, because I just don't know if someone would be that guy to be down in history, to be... who was it? Was it Petrov that was in the way of Fernando Alonso at Abu Dhabi? That he's out in history to be the guy that to involve the title battle. He's known as that guy. It was Petrov, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, do you want to be that guy? And I don't know, man. The way it happened, I think it's, in a weird way, it's a good thing for F1 for the more casuals. For the hardcore, it's a bad thing, because the hardcore, they have this like beautiful heaven-like view of F1 and Formula 1 and what it should be in motorsport, and the casuals, they just want to be entertained. So the casuals, they loved it, and they'll be more into next year because of what they saw. But for hardcore, some may say, I think I sent a few tweets like, oh, that's me done now, F1, I can't take it seriously anymore. But I think there's the casual base of any game, any sport is more important, I think, for the people that's in charge. They care about the numbers. They care about people buying tickets, and that's what they really care about at the end of the day.
Well, again, I think because the driver on the receiving end was Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, going for his it would have been his 5th in a row, 8th in total. And I think because it was him, you obviously, yes, you had the casual fans who like, the spectacle, amazing, not kind of interested in the details of the specific regulation, blah blah blah. Again, when Man United were winning title after title, if they'd have got stiffed over in a Champions League final, most fans would have been like, I can get over it because it's Man United. And I feel like it's kind of the same with Lewis because he's been the dominant one. He was, when Vettel was winning all his titles, I'm sure if that had happened to Seb, a lot of people would have been like, Same with Schumacher, same with anyone who's dominated for a period of time. So I guess it's that,
What do you think the response would have been if it was Verstappen that got done over and Hamilton overtook him in the same way? The exact same way,
this is what
different
I mean.
way around.
So I think it would have been, I think the response, well, first of all of the Max fans who are defending the decision would not be defending the decision, first and foremost. That's clear as day. I mean, obviously, again, from a Lewis Hamilton fan point of view, because of how the season panned out, it was all quite bitter, wasn't it? So I'm sure they would have felt a bit of like just desserts. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't think that's right, but I think you would have got that. But I think as well, that from a lot of the kind of neutral fan base, there would have been, probably more of an outcry because this was Max's opportunity to win his first world title. And again, over the 22 races, and most people, like Max drove a better season over the whole season than Lewis did.
Well, he led more laps than the entire could have combined, didn't he?
Literally.
Yeah, like that's facts.
He drove an unreal season, so I think it's it's a good point, and I think so much of the discourse online, you can talk and debate with people about subjects, but ultimately, when you know for a fact you're debating someone on a subject where you know that if the shoe was on the other foot, I actually did a video where I like took Silverstone and I was like swapped the cars. Like,
I saw that video. I saw that thumbnail is iconic to me, man.
Yeah, and it was just like, actually, when you think about all these incidents, if you take away the names, then actually, like, a lot of people will look at them differently, But I mean, that's sport, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's because I'm more like, I just want to see Vettel do it. I mean, I want to see many drivers do it. I want to see Schumacher do well. I love Schumacher just because I just that story. I think if he somehow manages to get out of Haas, just please get out of Haas one day and get in a competent car. I just will love that story. But that's a bit obvious, I guess. I do love myself a bit of Gasly because I just think he's a sexy man. That's just based on pure looks. I just think, you know what, he's sexy. I wished I was that guy. That's the thing about F1. There's so many different reasons. It could be so complicated why you like a guy that you can drive. I don't really dislike one driver in the grid. Even like Mazepin, I kind of, that was a massive, controversy last year. But I think he's kind of just settled down in the last couple of months, and I don't like to hold one thing on someone forever. So if he learns off his mistakes, it's like, you know what, man, he's just trying to race, even though he's not that good. He's just a human at the end of the day.
We all know why he's there ultimately, and it's one of them. It's also a reflection of that kind of age-old problem with Formula One, which is kind of drivers not being there on merit. And
I mean, what's your view on that? About like from the outside looking in a way, everyone just sees F1 as just a bit of a toy boy sport, a bit of a rich boy sport, really. And like in a theory it is, because you can't just get into it with absolutely nothing. You need some sort of sponsor. You need a bit of backing behind you at a young age in your karting and so on and so forth. That's the way I see it anyway. Like, what's your view on it?
Yeah, I think compared to a sport like football, where you can be from the most underprivileged background, council estate, having a kick about, playing local, there's still a chance of getting picked up. You've got players who come. Was it Patrick Bamford's like university educated, like had a really good upbringing, and then you get but you get a lot more players because there isn't that financial barrier to entry who do get scouted and are enabled to have a career and move through a system. Whereas obviously, with motorsport, you have to be, you have to have that privilege around you that you've got parents who are prepared to put the time in, to put the money in, and you have to have that in you to push for it. So I think a lot of you got to imagine if motorsport was a meritocracy in the same way football is, then you would see that. I think 70% of the F1 grid would be different because you'd get all these young kids who didn't have the money, who would be able to do it. That's always going to be a factor. Like racing cars and go-karts cost money more than a football.
You don't go to Sports Direct, do you? And you see a go-kart, you pick one up. It's not like a football. You don't go to Sports Direct. It's like, you know what, man? What do you like, the football? What do you like, the $5,000 go-kart? And that's probably like the cheapest option or something.
Just imagine just hanging on the walls, like that's just hanging down, mate.
And it's just like the oil will cost about like £100 per 20 mile. I don't know go-kart numbers, but like.
No, but like honestly, the like top tier go-karts, you're looking at about $250,000 a year, and that's just go-karts. Like it's insane. And it like if you want to do like Super GT, Steve, the go-kart and he's doing. I mean, I don't know exactly how much, but I reckon the total cost of that is looking at 20-30 grand for a year probably, which is like a whole average person's wage in the UK.
Yeah, just for like a very top level go-kart, but then there's so many levels above that you can go into.
Exactly. So that's like a national go-kart, and just that's being restrictive in other areas as well. So yeah, I think ultimately that is just a kind of an unfortunate caveat, because everyone loves speed, right? Like there's a reason that there's a kid.
There's a go-kart track actually in Czech Republic, which is like in the mountains, and we go up there like every like 2-3 months and that. And I don't know, there's something about it which is just like with football, you can get better and better, but it's much more easier just to like tell you're getting better at go-kart. So like this is why like in the last year I've gone so much away from FIFA. From FIFA to go into just the F1 game. In the last 12 months, I've got my own like racing league. I made a league when I was on Facebook Gaming. It's like a laugh, and like over time, it's built up to like a big like Xbox. F1 league's got BBC. I guess people care, but like when I first got into it, I was like, wow. Like I'm gaining temps and temps a lap on my time trial, and it was like, I can actually just practice for like an hour and I will get better. With FIFA, because you're really in no control, you're controlling one player out of 11. It feels like so much is out of hand. Then there's a team that you have, an ultimate team, and then there's people putting money in the game, which you can't put money in the game or you don't want to. And then people go like, with F1, it's so bare bones in terms of you put time in, you practice it, you will get better and you'll be faster than this guy if he puts less time in. And it's simplistic, and I love that because I could just get better and better each day and get more and more experience, and it will actually matter in a league racing environment. And like when I play FIFA, and I'm like, this is, can I swear?
Swear away, mate.
This is bollocks. Like I play FIFA, I'm like, it's absolute bollocks, man. Like there's so much that's out of your control. If it's the teams or gameplay or a bit of delay and lag, and it's like, I don't know how anyone takes it. I could rant about FIFA for 5-10 minutes if you want. I cannot take it seriously. I don't know how any of these esport guys put any of the money that these guys get, they put into the game. I know many FIFA guys, know many esport players. I know, for example, and one of my good mates, Brad, he's a Burnley Football Club esport player, right? He's got given, I can't say exactly how much, but it's in 5 digits. It's over £10,000 in this year alone. And have you seen how much they pay these esport players for FIFA? Have you seen how much they get paid? They get paid £800 if they come 4th. So actually not for 5th to 8th. So if they come 5th or 8th best in a tournament, and one of the biggest tournaments, I think it was back in FIFA 20, nowadays I think it's actually the same price, because the COVID got in the way. It's like a bit lower than what it used to be. But like, you are the 5th to 8th best player in the world at FIFA, and you get paid £800, and that's before tax. So it's actually like £600.
That's disgusting, man.
I think it's like $100,000 for like first in the world for an event. I know the lad that won the event. It got paid 6-9 months later, and he actually received like 60% of it. So they keep on saying, £100,000 cash prize. Yeah, it's actually half of it. And
you don't get 100. The tax man comes in quick, mate.
Exactly. So it's just like, man, I can't take it seriously with the things that I know. Yeah, it's just
the thing is, I think that's a broader kind of and I think EA were one of the first companies to really start exploiting that in terms of pay to win, and there's no regulation, and you've got all these you've got kids who are spending hundreds if not thousands of pounds to get these. They're basically NFTs.
Do you play much FIFA?
Essentially, I used to play FIFA, but I haven't played FIFA since 16, 17. I picked it up and it was shit. And I was just like, I can't be asked anymore, man. It was. I remember at uni, I was really good at FIFA. We used to do like in our halls in residence in first year. We used to like do FIFA tournaments. So I used to do pretty well. But like,
which uni you went to?
Not anymore. I went to Bournemouth.
I went to I went to Newcastle. That can't be any more different. Newcastle. Well, actually, it's Northumberland uni. So it's actually the not poorer version, but more like the more sketty version. Like Newcastle uni is like more like they do like. They're more specialised in like maths and science. And then there's Northumberland, which is like basically anyone could get into here and just have a laugh. And it's like, let's go, boys! Up the two.
Decent. I think Ball was kind of in the middle. Yeah, the best of both worlds because it had a nice beach.
They do have a nice beach, to be fair. I've been to Bournemouth away 3-4 times to Burnley. And I actually loved Bournemouth away, actually. I think it's a good away day. People have to go to the stadium, but I actually really like it because it's like different to most grounds.
Exactly. It's a little bit different, which is always nice. You raised a very good point there because, yes, typical motorsport versus football. Football is the meritocracy. F1 is the sport that you need to kind of, to get to, not just to F1, like just to be a professional racing driver, you need to put a lot of money in. But you're right, like the esports version is like the opposite. Like you can buy the F1 game, and then if you've got the skills, you can be quick straight away and beat everyone straight away. And there's no pay to win in the F1 or remote sport games. Well, not in the F1 game anyway. I'm sure they'll find a way now that EA own Codemasters. Yeah,
EA is now like they're not. I mean, Cordy still makes the game, but I think there's some sort of some sort of marketing sort of like side of it. It's still Cordy that makes it, but I think EA does some sort of like I don't even know what side they are, but. They're not the full control, so we've got hope. I think.
I mean,
last about a week, but we never know.
Fingers crossed. Do you actually do you follow any of the F1 esports at all?
Yeah, man, I watch it. I do league racing like every single week, so I always like watch when I see it on the F1 channel on YouTube. I always pop to live streams. Jono's just absolutely just ridiculous. And I talk a bit to Brendan Lee a bit. On Twitter and that, nice. So like I know a few of the guys. Yeah, he's a good lad. I love it though, just because like as you say, it really is. I mean, there's maybe a bit of a ceiling, nothing, but there's a bit of a pay gap in terms of to get the wheel, to get the pedals, to get the rig, and that it can benefit you, but not massively. Like I've got like a £1,000 setup here, and it's like I'm a little bit faster, but that's just because I just practice a bit more. You can have a Logitech Logitech G29 or whatever you find with that. Most of my mates I know that they're pad players, playing controller, and they're faster than me. They're ridiculous. So like you really can just get involved and you just see the progression, and I think that's just so satisfying. Coming from where I came from anyway.
And especially like over lockdown as well, like racing esports just jumped up significantly because everyone was at home and it was the most
real life guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like they absolutely smashed it. Like in like the virtual Grand Prix and all of that stuff at the start, it was really good. And the dog is here to all audio listeners only. This is why you should be watching on the Cool Down Podcast YouTube channel because go on, introduce Viz. Come on, who are we looking at?
He's Levi the cockapoo and he's got social anxiety.
Oh, bless him.
If you leave him alone for like literally not even 10 seconds, he acts as if he's being stabbed. Like the noises he makes is actually like it hurts my soul every time. Well, where's your dog? Let's get both dogs out.
Should I go get Minton?
Yeah.
With the power of editing, in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Here he is. Beautiful. Minton, look, Levi dog.
I love how calm how dog Minton is, and then it's just my mess here.
He's pretty chilled out. We got quite lucky with him.
How old is Minton?
He's just turned 3 in October, so 3 in a bit.
So he's still quite young.
Yeah, you still got your puppy fat. He's got a little grey beard now though. So
does he now?
You're getting on. Yeah.
So it's now the dog podcast.
Dogcast. Well, look, he is a big part of my brand, so I ain't got a problem talking about Minton on the pod.
That's why I watch your content, really.
I mean, right and all. Oh my god, did you see him yawn?
I just heard him. See, he's talking back to me. He's like, "Yeah, no, he doesn't pay me enough."
Lewis has got Roscoe, hasn't he? So What we should talk about, now that we've got the little dog section done, which was inevitable, mate, because I knew that Levi was knocking about and I was always going to get minted out eventually, is 2022. And first of all, what I want to ask you is not drivers, ignore drivers. Obviously, new regulation change. All the teams, this is an opportunity. This is a big opportunity for the teams, your Alpines, your Aston Martins, your Alfa Romeos, your Williamses, to, capitalise and jump up the grid. We look at what happened with Brawn in 2009. That was Honda in 2008, and they finished 9th in the Constructors. It would be equivalent of Alfa Romeo winning the Constructors title next year, is what Brawn did, essentially.
Yeah, they get a triple diffuser.
Maybe the triple diffuser. Adrian Newey, if you're listening, Viz, mate, give him credit where it's due. Who do you think's going to smash it, and who do you think's going to come up short?
That's the thing. I don't think anyone can actually tell. It's the worst part. It's just more kind of like there's a gut feeling of like, yeah, it is. I think they've got it. I honestly, man, like it's because of all the new regulations. It's like, I mean, I know there's like teams that finish lower down, they get more. It's not more money they can spend. It's like, is it like points they have? It's like
get
resource
more,
points in a way, isn't it?
Essentially, yeah, they get more time in kind of CFD and aero to like.
Yeah, they have more time to actually practice
basically.
different types of like tests they can run, I think.
Exactly. So it's kind of like a sliding scale. So the better you do, the less time you get to develop the car next year, basically.
I don't think anyone can actually put a logical reason of why they think one team will be better than the other. I think it's almost as kind of just random dumb luck because we just don't know enough about what teams actually already know. I would love to see Ferrari. I would love to see Ferrari just be like unreal at the start. I think it'd be amazing. I don't think Alfa Romeo will be anything interesting at all. I've got hope on Williams. I think Williams on an upward spiral. I would love to see Williams. I think they'll do a bit better. Which team do I think will do probably worse? I don't know. I don't want to say Aston Martin or something, but I don't know. Like I just don't think anyone can put any logical reason of who they think could do better. I will kind of put a bit of dumb hope on Ferrari just because it's Ferrari, and I think that.
Yeah.
I think Carlos Sainz will be a lovely story alongside Leclerc. I think that'll be very tasty next year. A nice sort of rivalry there, I think. I think that's the best chance we have at any sort of team rivalry that we're going to get. Because there's always something going on at Ferrari, and I think that'll be what will be happening next year.
Yeah. So look, Leclerc and Science is one of them that I feel like, for me, my best guess is Ferrari because, they've been hurting for a long time and they, the nation of Italy will not tolerate Ferrari's continued failure. So I feel like it's.
I love that. They won't tolerate it anymore.
They won't. They won't. I'm sorry. The Tifosi won't be having it. But so in terms of the driver pairings then, let's go through the driver pairings. So obviously Leclerc, Science. Like, how do you consider them two and like working together as well? Do you think they'll come to blows next year? Because they worked pretty well together this year. It didn't really there wasn't much beef, was there?
Yeah, it wasn't much beef, but I don't think they were that competitive enough to be high up there enough. I mean, sometimes they were, but sometimes I don't think it's consistent enough. I think next year those two would just there'll be some sort of, something will happen. Some sort of, collision. Some guy loses gets a puncher or something. I think just one situation will happen and they're fighting for like podium, and I just can see that happening sometime next year. In terms of like driver pairings, I have zero interest in Alfa Romeo. It's just like Bottas.
You've got Bottas and Joe. Yeah, it's not really.
Yeah.
What do you make of Bottas?
I don't know, man. He's just kind of there. Like, he's not bad because, he consistently always delivered to get Mercedes a constructors, and that is, something to give him solid credit for. But it's like, just get some balls, man, sometimes. Like, I don't know why he does like these, to whom it may concern, fuck you. And it's like, but the next race the way how he ended the year for me was pathetic. I think he was being overtook by Tsunoda in like last race, and he was like midway through like 8th place fighting and couldn't get up positions. It's like, man, I don't know if he was just out of it, like his heart wasn't in it. It was like he knows he's gonna leave, but like the way how he ended for me just looked pathetic. I was just kind of fighting in midfield in the Mercedes.
Yeah. It's weird because Bottas was really good at Williams before he joined Mercedes. Like, he got that call up on merit, and his first year at Mercedes was pretty good. He wasn't that far off of Lewis. You know, I think he scored like 80 something percent. He's 84% of Lewis's points that first year. And then just, yeah, like too many times this year. Maybe it was because obviously the regulation changes hurt the Mercedes, and then he kind of, that relative gap between Mercedes and like the midfield kind of closed, and that was enough for Valtteri to get caught up. Not all the time, but too often, you know. And he wasn't there to help out Lewis at the end, was he?
I don't actually dislike any F1 drivers. You know, I think that he's a very chill guy. He's easy to like. It's just kind of like, I think you just want to see something new, don't you? He was at Merck for a long time, and it's like it's a good time to see him go off. And George Russell coming up, that'd be a lot more interesting, I think.
What do you make of George? Do you think is the real deal, or do you think he's all hot air?
I'm kind of like in the middle on that, because he's definitely got talent. He's definitely got pace. It's just like, if he was really that good, I think he would get more points than what he has. You know, it's like, yes, the car wasn't amazing, and that is a big factor. You know, and he's had some good results. And it's just like, yes, I can see that there. But in some races, like, I just kind of think if he was this insane driver, he'll get more points than what he actually adds at the end of it. One time he had points, and that was because of Spa, and the race ended, right? Or was there one more race he got points?
He got points on 2 occasions this season. Oh no, he got points 4 times. He got Hungary, Belgium, Italy. Oh yeah, Italy, yeah, and then Russia as well. So he was in the points 4 times. But then that Williams car was clearly better in 2021 than it had been the 2 years prior. So
definitely. I'm not saying he's bad by any means. It's kind of like, you know, he's a weird one. I think that he will do a lot better. I still think Hamilton will be ahead of him, because he's, you know, Russell still has to get used to the car in some way. I know that he jumped in at it wasn't Bahrain, but it was Bahrain short. What was it called? The oval?
Yeah. Sakir.
Yeah.
Sakir.
He jumped in there and he did really well. So, I mean, I want to see him do well because he's British, you know, so I really want to see him do well, because I think that I think that'd be a good thing to see, a bit of a rivalry between, you know, maybe Lando and Russell. I think it'd be interesting.
Well, that's the thing, because you look at how well Lando's held and considered now, but George wiped the floor with Lando in Formula 2. So, you know, and with everyone else for that matter. But so it remains to be seen. What about what do you make of Alex Albon? Come on, be kind. I'm his biggest fan. Come on, he's coming back.
I like him. I used to watch his streams, you know, back in lockdown and that. I think he's a funny lad. So, you know, nice and likable and that. And, you know, at this time it's Red Bull. I mean, I don't even know what to make of that time at Red Bull, man. I don't even know what to make of it. It's like, sometimes it wasn't his fault. Sometimes I feel like, you know, he made a few mistakes, and it's like, is it just him or is it the Red Bull car? I don't know. Yeah, I think it was, I don't know if it was too soon to go in that position. I don't know what to really make of it.
Yeah, because I mean, that was his second year in F1, and technically he jumped into that car in his rookie season as well. So it's like, that was a lot. But then obviously you had Gasly obviously struggling. You had Perez, you know, good in the races, very good in the races this year, but qualifying gave him a lot to do. Like that whole Red Bull second seat, do you think how much do you think it is the seat being cursed in terms of like there's a focus towards Max, or just Max being so good? Like what balance? Now we've seen 3 different drivers go against Max and really struggle. Like,
I mean, I'll say Max is just really good. I think that's more the case. Max is just insane. You know, I think that there is a bit of a, you know, betting in period in that, and I think the kind of expectation and kind of like aura of that seat kind of is, you know, I think mentally it may have a bit of a slight impact on some of the drivers, especially the younger ones like Albon and Gasly. I think Perez has done a lot better. Of course, he has, obviously, by just results he's got. So, you know, I just kind of feel like Verstappen's just insane, you know, especially in the last 2 years, especially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like Albon, and I really hope that Williams can deliver a decent car to be in the mid-pack, hopefully, next season.
Fingers crossed, because, well, look, hopefully everyone will be tightened up a little bit. And then, obviously, there's been a lot of talk around Fernando Alonso, L Plan. Are you on board with L Plan?
I do. You know what? I kind of like, over time, it's kind of gradually worn me down. Because at first I was just kind of thinking, you know, I remember I saw your video about your prediction on Fernando Alonso, and it's just like, yeah, it just won't be the same. He's just going to be like, he's kind of out of it now. Jumping back into F1, he'd be slow, and it's like I kind of thought the same thing, thinking he may have a year or so, a bit of a. I thought it'd be similar to like what like Michael Schumacher was when he came back to F1. It's kind of like, yeah, he will do alright. He'll get maybe
felt the same. Yeah,
a decent performance. So I thought that it's kind of like a new era in a sense, because he had a few bad years before, before he retired, and it's like. I'm kind of liking his interviews, his personality. I think he's a lot more looser now. I kind of wish that Kimi was more like that in the end. It's like just be a little bit more looser, but Kimi is just something else. Honestly, like I don't know if I dislike him or not. In terms of like, I just want to see more from you, man. I just want to see that little bit more personality, and it's like he does it on purpose. It's like, come on, man, laugh.
Oh, he definitely
give me a smile.
Into it. 100% he leans into the character 100%, man. You can see it so many times in social stuff he does. He knows that people love it when he doesn't give a fuck, so he extra doesn't give a fuck.
He does like you saw like on the F1 YouTube channel. It's like your favorite race of the year is like my last race because it'd be Abu Dhabi because it'd be my last race. And it's like, what's your expectations? Like, what was it like? Your expectations for the year is like 0 points, or like nothing. It was something. It was just like nothing. Like, what would be your favorite race of the year? Abu Dhabi because it'd be my last race. And it's just like nice. Thanks.
If that wasn't Kimi, everyone would be like, "You're a miserable bastard." But because it's Kimi, it's like, "Oh, it's Kimi. It's fine."
It's Kimi, yeah.
But you know what? Like,
you need that.
I do respect the fact that, over the course of most of his, because he would have had so much pressure to be like, right, you need to do this in media and this in interviews and over the years. And sometimes he has just been unnecessarily rude, don't get me wrong. But I think for the most of it, I respect the fact that he's just genuine and true to, you see that in footballers as well. Like there's certain footballers that when they give post-match interviews, like you can see when they're being real or not.
Yeah, Haaland is like the best example of that. He's just like, he gives like one word answer, like, so what are your thoughts on the game? Good. And it's just silence. And it's like, I kind of rate that. Just be purposely just awkward and just do it on, I love it, man. It's like, so next week, Man United, big game. What's your thoughts? We want to win. And it's just silence. It's great. It's brilliant.
He's not wrong. Well, you've got, I know, was it Ben Mee he's given some good post-match presses.
He's done a bit, he's done more of the like the Black Lives Matter, and like he's very good with the way that he's a wonderful captain. The way how he represents the club, it's fantastic, and very happy that he's just. I mean, I've met him, within the club, and he's just like, I think all the lads at Burnley, they're literally just normal lads. Like they just kick a ball well. I play Warzone with Dwight McNeil, and like literally mate, honestly, it's like talking to like just a lad at college. Like he's just good at kicking a football about. People put way too much like emphasis on like footballers and F1 drivers as well. Like you see like some of the lads in F1 just in live streams, like Leclerc or Russell or Lando. It's just like they literally are just lads. Like if they weren't good at driving a car, they would just be down Manchester on a night out, down Waikiki Tuesdays. They'd be loving it. They probably are still doing that, to be fair.
It's so true. I think it's such a thing, isn't it? It's like we put these professional athletes or celebrities or whoever kind of on a pedestal, and it's actually like, no, they're just human beings. They're just like you and me. You know what I mean? I think that's where, when you've got like the F1 lads Twitch streaming and you see more like social content. Like I love over the Euros, the England social content that we're putting out, where you actually like got a vibe of like, oh, this is actually, they're just like you and me, really. Like fundamentally they're human beings. Like they're no different. It's just they have this skill that they can, this skill. I mean, there's plenty of skills that people have that don't put them in the public eye. It's just that their skill puts them very much in the public eye. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I'm really good at Egg and Spoon race. Sadly, there's not much of a promotion for that money-wise.
If only Egg and Spoon got the respect it deserved.
My hand-eye coordination is second to none. You know what, man? My dad kind of done me dirty, man. Because when I was raised, guess what sports he got me into?
Shot put, javelin, triple jump.
It got me into judo and got me into 10-pin bowling. I like performed at a county level, I represented Lancashire in like under 10s at 10-pin bowling, like under 12s. I like played for like not for England, but like in like an English like league system.
Sick.
Yeah, 10-pin bowling. I think my highest score is a 262 or 264 or something like that.
Fucking hell.
I got me on
Jesus
bowling
Christ,
ball as well. It's like green and blue. Sick.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Well, you know, there's been all this talk recently about like doing a YouTuber darting competition. There should be a YouTuber 10-pin bowling one, and you just low key go in. Everyone else is doing like hitting 120s and really happy with themselves, and you just come with your own ball and just strike after strike.
Yeah, but it's like I mean, you said I'm a nerd because like I call it house ball. Like the balls you get at bowling alley are called house balls, and like they are the worst thing to ever exist. They have no weight to it. They literally like they don't hit the pins with any weight, so it's like you're just already dusted, man. And I whack up with my actual bowling ball that is at my dad's. I remember my like one of my first dates with Sonia, and she said, "Oh, let's go bowling." It's like, you do not want to go bowling with me. You do. I won't. It'd be not a good idea. And she's like, "No, I want to see how good you are." It's like, all right, it's either will I just be nice and be a good boyfriend and just kind of like let her do well, or am I going to absolutely destroy her on the alley? And I destroyed her on the alley. I think I got 202 or something. Man. I was like,
good man.
I told you.
Assert
dominance on the alley.
Assert dominance early on.
Oh man, no, but
that's brilliant. I love that.
In terms of like football, I know you're into West Ham and that. Like, what's your kind of little thing about like the Premier League and that. I mean, what's your thoughts about the entire like Newcastle takeover and like as a West Ham fan looking at that? And you guys, do you think you can actually somehow be in that top 4, top 6, or is this a one-off?
Look, I mean, to be honest, obviously going from the bowling, Upton Park, to the fishbowl that is the London Stadium, it's like, it's not the same. As much as we're doing as well as we've ever done, you know, since, you know, you're talking about like the Lampard, Ferdinand, Canute era back in the day. Like we're doing so well at the minute, and but it's since we moved. I had a season ticket the first 2 seasons at the new place, and I went to our final ever game at Upton Park as well against Man United. I somehow got a ticket. Honestly, best day of my life. We won 3-2. Winston Reid.
Yeah, it was Winston Reid in it, yeah.
I'll never forget that. But
I've never been up to Park. I'm so annoyed I never went. I wasn't like old enough to actually go to games at that time. I've been to London Stadium like 2 times. The worst away day of the entire calendar. It's like literally you could fit a pitch in between the front of the away fans or any of the fans. From the front to the back of the actual stand, you could fit a pitch in between that.
Yeah.
And like trying to be an away fan, or imagine you being a home fan, you have like 8 different chants happening at the same time because you are so far away from each other you can't actually hear them. So it's like, it's just, I mean, I've been there when we beat you 3-0. I was there when we beat you 3-0, and even I was like, it could be so much better if I was, you know, in a different way. And you guys had fans running on the pitch, and there was one Donny holding up a corner flag middle of the pitch.
Yeah,
you literally had fans running on the pitch.
Were you there for that game?
Yeah, for 3-0, yeah.
Yeah, I was there for that one as well. That was a terrible day.
I love that. Yeah, it was a good game.
I'm sure you loved that game, didn't you?
Yeah.
Fucking
videos on my channel.
Butterfingers Adrian. No, I was literally the opposite side of the stadium to you, crying. So there you go. But no, I think that transition just really cemented the fact that it's not about the success; it's about the feeling. And you know, we lost our home, and yes, obviously, I will still support the club till I'm on my deathbed. That will never change. But the absolute feeling of, you know, I'm sure you'd feel the same if you ever left your Turf Moor, right?
Turf Moor, yeah.
Yeah. If you ever left there, you know, and like the way Spurs did it is kind of better because they didn't actually move location. So all of the pie and mash shops, all of those pre routines like stayed the same. But with us, we've kind of moved to Stratford. It's in, you know, Westfield, and it's just a bit like it's
London FC. Like when you guys put London on your badge, I was like, why the hell is London on your badge? It's like you're not London FC. You don't represent London.
For fuck's sake. It's just so, yeah, mate. And that's the thing. Like, no amount of success will change that. It will never feel the same for me. I don't think. Obviously, maybe in 50 years when
do you still go?
It's normal. I haven't been for a while, to be honest, because I haven't got
What
my
a
season ticket
plastic!
anymore. So, well, look, I'm
Sick and tired of it. I mean,
technically, I can see the stadium through the window, so kind of, I am viewing from even further away. I'm just saying, okay?
yeah. That's very, very expensive seat, which you can't see the pitch. So
Well, it's part of my rent, so it's fine. But that's the thing, like, and again, I feel like that kind of that support. I feel like the only F1 team that really has that same level of like loyal fan base is Ferrari, because it is part of the culture in Italy. Whereas I don't think any of the British, even though most of the teams are based in the UK, it's still more pulled towards drivers. You haven't got like McLaren ultras outside the MTC in Woking going mad.
Yeah, you can feel it a lot more with I would say Red Bull, but it's more just Mats. Like I said this on stream. I got people annoyed at me. I was like, if that Super Mats song wasn't made, Mats would be nowhere near as popular as what he is now. Like that song is so iconic, and you can hear it everywhere on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all the memes. It's everywhere. It's like if that song wasn't made, most people would not care about it because it's such a good, catchy song. It's like if like someone that's a decent like Leclerc, if he got the exact same catchy song that rhymed with it in the same way as Matt's, it'll be like much more hyped. Just because the power of social media is so important. It's so important to have that thing that you can easily attach to someone.
Well, anyone watching or listening, get on it. Leclerc fan song. We haven't heard it yet. But also, I think the Dutch are just like, there's going to be plenty of Dutchies watching and listening. Like, you lot are mad. Like the support from the Dutch fan base and from the Mexican fan base for Checo as well. Insane. Mexico was mad. It's crazy.
I did. I mean, it's kind of a boring race, but it kind of made up for it with afterwards with Checo's dad. It was so cute.
Oh my god, the most wholesome man in the world, man. What do you make of Sergio's season? Because obviously, again, he's jumped into that Red Bull seat. He's been thoroughly beaten by Verstappen, which is exactly what happened to his two predecessors. But obviously, he's got like 10 years experience, so he did do a better job. But do you think that going into next year, do you think he's going to be able to put up a fight against Max?
I don't know, man. I kind of like.
Come on, I want answers. Give me answers. Come on, put your life on the line.
Put my life on the line.
I'm holding you to this.
I don't think he will.
We'll come back in a year.
I don't think he will be anywhere near the level of a Max, just because momentum is a massive thing with Perez. Yeah. It's like, I think he's happy to be a part of it. I feel like he's not a guy that needs a spotlight. Even my dog's angry. Even though he's getting involved, he's getting riled up. He's happy to, I think, just be part of it, to be part of a team. I don't think he's the type of guy that needs to be in the spotlight. So I think he's happy just to kind of be that second driver and hope, like a Bottas in a way. But I think he'd be better than Bottas that can actually, maybe help out a bit more. So but I love it a bit. It's like, again, it's weird. It's like, if I could think of one driver that I actually dislike, I think I'd probably just say Giovinazzi, because I know nothing about the guy. It's like he's so like vanilla to me. You just nothing him. You don't. I nothing him. It's like I kind of nothing. Yeah. I was gonna say I kind of nothing Latifi in a way. It's kind of like, but then like I like Canadians. In a way, it's just kind of like, but he is Canadian. It's like Lance Stroll. It's like,
you've got a Canadian flag behind you. I can't see one.
Yeah, I do. It's just over there. I got family over in Canada. But like Lance Stroll, he's like, his personality is just kind of like, he's not quiet, but he's not loud. He's just kind of like, maybe he's a bit quiet actually.
It's funny actually because Lance in like post race interviews and stuff like that, he's so like blunt and to the point, and like he's very, very guilty of like wearing his heart on his sleeve, which isn't always a bad thing, but also like I think the emotion kind of gets the better of him a lot of the time. But actually in the like social media stuff with like him and Seb and like Grill the Grid and all that, Lance is actually jokes. I think he's actually really funny.
I thought that'd be such a weird combination, Vettel and Stroll. I don't think that personality, like collision, I don't think that was going to work together well. Same thing, I didn't think Ocon and Alonso, I thought that'd be such an awkward Like, that'd be such an awkward paddock. I don't think that'd work well, but it seems like it does work very well. And it's like, everything I know about my life is just confusing. I don't know anything anymore, you know? People change. Who would have thought people change their opinions? How fucking dare you change your opinion?
No, never. You still have the same opinions you did when you were born, okay? Don't try and claim anything different, Viz.
God damn it. I still thought Felipe Massa deserved to win 08.
Oh, imagine a throwback. They have Felipe Massa? Didn't he like interview Lewis after one of the? Was it Brazil? Wasn't it? They had Felipe interviewing Lewis.
I don't know if they interviewed Brazil. Did they?
It was so awkward. Yeah,
that would have been taking the piss. That would have been taking.
It was so awkward. It was. I think like Lewis briefly like mentioned 2008 as well. It was really awkward.
What for you is like, I don't know how long you do your podcast for, sadly, but like, what for you is like your most like when you just think of F1, like what's like your most iconic moment? Like you just remember the feeling, if it's good or good or bad. You know, when you think of F1, what do you think of?
Well, obviously, apart from 2008 Hamilton, is that Glock? Obviously, that was, you know, I would have been 15 at the time when that happened, and you know,
Christ,
that was
you're old.
Insane. But thank you, mate.
You're fucking old, mate.
Right? I'm not 30 until next year. Okay, get over it. I would say, no, you know what, right? And you'll like this as a Vettel fan. You'll like this. So when he won in 2010, that radio message, "Du bist Weltmeister," that just there's something, because I've never like I like Seb. I would never call myself a fan of Seb, but like when he was dominating, I was just like, oh, dominant.
Yeah, no one likes no one likes that.
I like Seb. I like Seb, but I wouldn't call myself like I'm a fan of a few drivers like Ricardo, Norris, Ocon, Albon, but. He's in like the next group of like drivers that I like, but yeah, I just think that radio message does something to me inside.
It's like Vettel's a very cultured man, isn't he? Like I remember on the Grill the Grid, like he named every single like winner of the F1 championship across the entire history, but yet he couldn't even name Red Bull in the alphabet one. It's like name a constructor that begins with R, and he's like, I don't know. And then when he realizes Red Bull and also Renault, it's just like, oh no. Yeah. Oh no. It's like, how do you pull that off? You can name every single F1 champion from back in the 50s, but you can't even name the own team you won 3 constructor championships for. Was it 4?
Look, man. At the end of the day,
4. Sorry.
These are 20 individuals who put themselves under about 4 or 5G every weekend. Like, no wonder.
Eventually, it's going to make an impact.
Exactly. Some of them are a little bit different in terms of how they recall things. But also, I wanted to ask you, Viz, talking of like, you know, because I feel like obviously, you know, I used to do football YouTube, now I do F1, and you operate in both spaces now as well. Like, how have you noticed, both in your like personal life, but also through Twitter and obviously where you talk about F1 now as well? Like, I feel like F1, because I never really operated on social media actively following F1 until like my YouTube channel took off, really, because I just followed football pages on Twitter, and F1 was like my own thing. But how have you noticed that audience grow with Drive to Survive, and do you feel like, you know, how has that changed, do you think, over the last kind of couple of years?
I do think that I don't know, like earlier when I was growing up, it was seen more like kind of like almost like a nerdy thing. It's like to be into motorsports, like, because, you know, I used to watch it a lot back in like 2010. Like my first F1 game that I played like proper was F1 2010 and F1 2012. And I remember like with my friends playing Xbox Live, you know, you play like Modern Warfare 2, you play FIFA 13, FIFA 12. It's like, oh, you want to go and you got F1? And it's like, why the hell do I have F1? It's like no one has F1 games. And it's like, I feel like a bit of like a nerd, but like liking F1 games. You know, it's like, I guess it's like more sports. That's not just, you know, football. It's like, if you're like into, I don't know, golf or like tennis, I guess you'll feel like you're a bit on the outside. It's definitely got a lot more, you see a lot more people talk about it. But the thing is, that's a problem, is that when there's a hardcore F1 guys that's been about since forever, they can name you everything that happened, the grid back in 2002 or something. They can name you every single stat. When they see new people get involved, they feel like, how fucking dare you come in my space? I've been here since the bad days. I know you're coming here now, and it's like they feel like they're just better than you. That they feel like they've got more knowledge. They feel like they're old more than you because they've been there earlier. It's almost in a way with football is that when there's more normal match going fans and they look at people that are from overseas.
Yes,
it's like because I'm one of them that I went to every single Burnley game. I didn't miss. I missed no more than 5 Burnley games over the course of like 4 or 5 seasons. I worked at Mackey's at age 16, so like I was. Guess how much I was on at Mackey's, by the way?
$6.50 an hour.
I was a £4.35 an hour.
Is that legal?
Not anymore, but back in 2016 it was.
Back in the day it was.
Yeah, like for part-time at age 16 it was like £4.35. See, even my dog is angry at that.
I mean, right and all, okay? Step up for your dad. Right?
It's ridiculous, man.
He deserves better.
When there's fans that I know that goes home and away, they absolutely despise anyone that's like not an away fan. And they look down on them so badly. They're just like, how fucking dare you? I'm here at Peterborough away back in the 90s. And like, even though I used to go every game, I didn't have the Burnley fans that's like, a bit older that saw us down in the Division 3 back in what is League 2 now. And you ever go with me, just like, yeah, but you weren't there when I was over in, I don't know, Boreham Wood, it's like, you weren't there. And it's like, it's not my fault I was born back in 98. It's not my fault. And maybe it's gone on a massive tangent here, but like, I do see a lot of like, what's the word for it?
Gatekeeping.
It's like,
I think gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping, yeah. And it's just kind of like, yeah, but are you really a fan though? Or are you just a Netflix fan? Or are you just like it because Verstappen's doing well and they feel like they're kind of owed like a bit more credit? And it's like, I get it to an extent because I kind of one of them that can be seen as like, I'm like the big Burnley fan and there's these smaller Burnley fans, but it's like, we're just supporting the fucking team. We're just watching the sport. Yeah. End of the day.
Well, I think F1 like historically, relative to football, didn't have the biggest casual fan base. It was like you were either really into it or you're not. And I think football, that I guess there's an acceptance amongst all fans that, a lot of the people watching at home aren't going to be hardcores. Like I think every fan can accept that and that's that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's normal. But then I suppose when you're at games, there's this additional, for you to go to a game, you've got that additional level of like, oh, I've had to work hard to pay for my away ticket, and then you've got these fans here. But I completely agree that 100% exists in F1 because there's only been a casual fan base in F1, or only been a significant one in the last kind of since Drive to Survive, basically. So you've got all this kind of. I do wonder like where that actually comes from, where that's like snobbery and where that gatekeeping
that kind of gatekeeping mentality.
Yeah, where does that come from, do you think? Like,
I think it's worse.
Really thought about it before.
The lower, the kind of like less well-known sports, the worse it gets because they feel like they're kind of being the, they went to the outside compared to everyone that goes to football. So it's like, you're now entering my sport now, which I've been here since this time when you were over there. And it's like, how dare you come to my world? And like, that's the way I can kind of see it. Because like, you can see people that's like rugby fans or like, a good example is cricket. When cricket, the World Cup, when England won the World Cup, cricket, there was a lot of cricket fans that they just were like, where the fuck were you in Middlesex versus, Lancashire back in the county cricket? And it's like, now you're here for the World Cup. And it's like, well, I mean, that happens in football. You see, like my dad doesn't give a monkeys about football, but he watches England for the World Cup. It's like, it's just easy to get into. My dad doesn't care about football at all. He actually doesn't, he actually hates it more to an extent because he was more into like extreme. No, my dad likes paragliding, bro. Paragliding. He loves that kind of stuff and like going up in the air and like he loves like airplanes and that and loves motorsports, like being more extreme kind of stuff. So he sees football as like, he sees football more for like pussies. Especially nowadays as it's got to more, more divers and that. He's like a bunch of pussies. But yet he loves golf.
Yeah.
How can you call football for pussies but you love golf? And it's like, okay, fine.
Real men play golf.
Yo, my dad actually bought me a golf club set when I was at age of 8. It was like a green and black golf club set. I loved it. I played golf as well.
I need to get back into my golf. It's been too long. But obviously, yeah, talking of kind of, again, what I mean about like the casual fan rising up and again, or just, you know, casting the net out to get more people involved and turn them into, you know, hardcore, super into F1 fans is, of course, Drive to Survive. We've had 3 seasons of it already. Got the 4th coming soon. Have you watched them? And what do you make of DTS as a series? Do you think it's just from your point of view? Have you enjoyed it? Do you think it's been a good thing for the sport?
It's a good thing for the casuals, but if you're someone that actually was like, I like to say that I'm kind of in the middle of casual and kind of like I'm not any sort of, you know, elite level fan of F1, you know, but I don't like the way they do it. I kind of like it if it was more of like actual structured from like the first race of the season to the end of the season. I don't like how they kind of base it on like the, you know, like this episode we're going to do Haas, and this episode we're going to do Ferrari, and this episode we're going to do, you know, Williams, whatever else. And it's kind of like, I would like to see the season structured in a way, and I think that'd be better for casuals in terms of like they can see the season pan out from race to race. And it's like, yeah, I prefer that because the way they kind of do it is just kind of like, okay, now it's Williams, but now we're in Mexico. And it's like, in like the first episode, it's like, okay, maybe not first episode, usually do like the first race, but like episode 3, and it's like, okay, we're in Britain. And it's like, okay, we just missed out like 4 different races, but fine. And then you go backwards in time, it's like, okay, it is what it is. But I think if you're casual, it's good because you can see more about the actual drivers. You know, that's why I think a lot of people love Ricardo, just because of Drive to Survive. They love him because of it, because he's much more of a focal point, especially in the first season anyway.
Drive to Survive for me, I really enjoy it. I've really enjoyed all 3. I know what it is. I know what it's designed to be, telling the stories throughout the season, and obviously they have their production crew. I think that the reason that it doesn't go in chronological is because obviously if you had it chronologically, you'd have to have a filming team at all 10 teams for every single race, whereas they have like a filming team and they have to like kind of pick a tick. So when Toto smashed his headphones, like Netflix cameras were like right there because they were following Mercedes for that race, which is amazing.
No, they were. Was that at Jeddah?
At Saudi Arabia, yeah, Jeddah.
Yeah. That is class. Like sometimes they get it perfect. I think they had. Yeah. What they were doing Haas, weren't they, during the Grosjean crash at Bahrain, weren't they? I think they were doing a Haas.
I think I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think you're right.
And they also did Haas for when they had the mishaps for the pit stops at Australia as well. I think they were also there for that one. It's like, okay, you picked a perfect race for that one. Right? Fair play.
That's what I think if Netflix threw more resource, and clearly there's an appetite for it because they've all done really well, just threw more production at it so that you've got more stories being captured. Because I understand that obviously, again, their job is to tell a story. And I know they're a bit, you know, funny with the edit where they kind of put, you know, out of context radio
clips. It pisses
to
me
tell
off how you can see like they're at, let's say they're at Monza and they focus into, what's the actual name of it? When like the teams are to the side of the actual like paddock.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you see the screens, and it's like you can literally see the Silverstone racetrack on it. Like they're racing at Silverstone, but like they're actually doing an episode on like Monza, and it's like I see that, and it's like, oh, that's just annoying. It's just like they're not even on the right track. I know, like because they got to focus on different races, but it's like I see that, I'm like, it's a bit annoying that.
And that's the thing. I think obviously, they prioritize telling the story over kind of being technically accurate, but also I do think like I know a lot of people were upset where, you know, McLaren, I think in last year's one there was this whole like Norris versus Sainz rivalry, but I was like, yeah, but they were rivals. Like, I'm sorry, like I know like everyone likes to think that Lando's like this ooh Twitch streamer and they're all him and Sainz are best friends and they skip in the fields. Bollocks! Like they're F1 drivers competing at the top end, and there's gonna be some tension there. Okay, maybe, but it's not like let's not pretend that everyone's happy go lucky. Like when Kimi Räikkönen retired, they asked Fernando Alonso about Kimi, and bear in mind these two have they've known each other for like 20 years, haven't they? Literally, Kimi's raced more races than anyone else. Fernando is second and will overtake Kimi in 2022, and Fernando was like, I don't really have a relationship with him. And it's like, first, how is that possible? Like, you spent half your life with someone. They shared a team as well. They were together at Ferrari, weren't they? Exactly. But they don't, it was like, we don't really have a relationship. I was like, that's mad. But it just shows, like, not everyone is all best mates and, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, you know, you like to think that they are, but actually, yeah, I mean, the reality is different. And I guess Netflix tells a story that sits. I think there's definitely room for like Drive to Survive, 100%. Like, I really like what it does in terms of telling the stories
it has
about
to be
the
involved.
drivers.
I think it doesn't make it worse. I just think it could be a little bit more better, but like it's fine the way it is now. I like it. I still watch it all.
I think it would be nice to see like maybe F1 TV take control of it and they have a behind the scenes series that follows, but follows it in a more chronological, accurate order. I think there's space for that. I think they'll do that eventually, as well as Drive to Survive.
Yeah, but then like the dead tracks would just be like, yes, just cut that. Like Portimao in the bin. All right, this didn't happen. Portimao. No one cares about Portimao. I hate Portimao because in the actual F1 game, I'm so bad at Portimao. So I
was gonna ask you actually about tracks, because obviously you play the F1 game, but obviously you follow the season as well. Like, are there any particular tracks that you love and hate? Obviously Portimao being a hate. So which other ones do you hate?
That I hate in the game or in real life?
Both, either or.
I mean, you know what? I go from one that I love. The fact that Hockenheim isn't actually on the calendar or in the game, I think is a disgrace. I need Germany. Germany needs to be on the calendar. The fact that it's not, I'm baffled at how it's not. It's got to be, man. The fact that like, Qatar could maybe be in there more times than Hockenheim. It's like, I think I heard some news like the other day. I think yesterday that they're gonna have some talks about 2023, hopefully about Hockenheim. So I'm I love Hockenheim. I just think that on the game I'm good at it. So bring it back, thanks. Yeah. I love a bit of Malaysia on the game anyway. I don't know about real life, but actually in life is class as well, isn't it? There's so many good races in Malaysia.
What did you think of Saudi and Qatar? Obviously this year, first time.
Qatar is just boring.
Yeah, it was pretty dead, wasn't it?
It's like the track wise, it's just like so average. It's like it's not bad because there is an overtaking opportunity on the main straight, and that's really
it wasn't really anything special, was it?
No, but Jeddah, I think, of course, you'll look back in it because of what happened there, you know, in the actual race, and it's like it may make it a bit better than what it actually was. I was surprised that it actually got completed to that level. I thought that the track would have been done, but like the kind of area around it, the grandstands wouldn't have actually been completed. I still think it wasn't completely done, but I remember I put like a comment on like the YouTube comment section on like they did like a video like a month before the actual race, and I was like, it's not even done yet. I got given so much shit. It's like, okay, yeah.
It wasn't like literally like they only just about got it done, which is kind
like it also looks like a sperm cell.
It does, or like one of. Hannah, I'm surprised there's not one on the floor because she always leaves hair clips around, but it literally looks like a hair clip. It's the second race next year as well, so we haven't got long to wait for it again. It's literally second race.
I think people may be let down because they will have the same expectation of what happened this year. I remember I was back in England when the race happened. I was watching it with my brother in the living room, and like I've never been so into a race like compared to Jeddah. I think honestly, that's the most excited I've got for F1 race. It's like when they had the collision, when Hamilton just went in the back of Verstappen, I was literally mad. Like, I jumped up and I screamed. I was just like, I can't believe it because I thought it was DNF'd. I thought it was out, and I was just like, these interviews are gonna be tasty, man. I can't wait. Man. And I was just there waiting for the interviews. I've never done that ever in F1 before since like Rosberg and Hamilton.
What did you make of it? Who in your mind was more at fault for Jeddah, the incident?
The actual incident or the ones before? Because there was more beforehand as well.
No, just the incident. Because for me, like the other ones are pretty clear. Like especially the one where Max kind of completely outbraked himself, didn't even make the corner, was skidded. Like he was right to try and give Lewis the position back. But how did you make of how that panned out?
I mean, it's somewhat kind of like, can I really blame Verstappen? Because like Hamilton didn't even know about it at the time of what he was actually doing. So I could kind of be like, okay, you know, it's a bit more 50-50, but like Verstappen, he turned left, didn't he? Like a little bit. He turned left to be more central to the track. And I know what he was doing to try and make it a bit more awkward for Hamilton. And of course, before the DRS zone. So I can kind of see, you know, he's trying to be smart, but it's like, I don't know I don't think there's really one person to blame. I guess more Verstappen. So I just kind of feel like he could have done it in a better way. But it's like Hamilton still could have gone more to the left. partially.
Yeah.
I think at the time, I was more like Verstappen's in the wrong, but I think that's more because of what happened beforehand and made me think that this guy's racing like an idiot, you know?
Yeah.
So on Twitter, I was just like, Verstappen's just being way aggressive. The reason why is because he knew that if Hamilton DNF'd or he had an awful race, he crashed out, then Verstappen won. So he was much more happy to risk killing Hamilton, because he know that if an accidental collision happens, he's out and he's won championship. That's why he knew that he can go more aggressive and kind of like Hamilton would go out his way at every occasion to be out of the way.
Because I think it's pretty clear, like how, in my mind, obviously, Max is told to give the position back strategically, which he's entitled to do because, of course, you want to minimise time loss. Lewis is coming, knows what Max is trying to do, let him pass before the DRS line so Max can go back at him into turn one. Doesn't want to go past him, which for me, I didn't like that bit. I thought Lewis, like, ultimately, if someone's giving you a position back, you take it. And also, like, Max could have been slowing down for any reason. There's numerous other reasons that he could have been slowing down for. I think there should be something where it's like, if a driver's making a genuine attempt to give you a position back, you can't like piss about and not take it.
People that go to like a specific brake like pressure he put on, and it's like, but he put this he brake checked him. He's like, I don't know, I don't care.
And again, I think it's one of them where you have to, for me, like a brake check is when you're going slow and then you slam on the brakes to then slam on the accelerator to pull away. And it's like, for me, it was just like, Max is trying to give Lewis the position. Lewis is coming behind him. Max is going slower and slower and slower. And he's just not going past. And he just gets frustrated. He's just like, why aren't you going past? And then just like slows down and then slows down even more.
I kind of think in like an imaginary universe of like, what if like Hamilton just keeps the same distance and they both just keep on going slower and slower until they both just stop. Like Verstappen just keeps going slower and slower before the actual DRS zone line. And it's like he just stops in front of it. It's just like, get past, dickhead. just get past me.
And then Ocon loses the win on the final straight to Bottas. Imagine that. You know what? I feel like, Liam, Viz, now is a good time. Hour 27 in. We'll wrap it up now, mate. Thank you for coming on.
I'll get Levi up here. Sorry about that.
For bringing Levi to the... Levi, that's it. Thank you. Dog for the outro is always good for SEO. But yeah, mate, how have you enjoyed your debut appearance on the cooldown, mate?
Oh, man, I loved it, man. Honestly, I've been a big fan of you for a while. And it's kind of good to talk to like a F1 guy about it because like I don't really know that many that I talk to that often. Like, I talk to like like Hayden and Veloce and like Arav and Neil and a lot. But I don't know. You've got some sort of aura to you. It's like that guy's cool. That guy's cool. Or maybe it's just the music you're using for videos. I can't tell actually.
Maybe it is.
What was it? You didn't like you turn green for like an April Fool's joke or something, didn't you?
Nah, I don't know what you're talking about.
No idea.
Don't know what you're I don't know what you're on about, mate. I'm glad you've had a good time, mate. No, really appreciate it. And obviously links in the description if you're watching on YouTube to Liam and Vizeh. What was it?
You actually said it right.
Vizeh.
No way.
Vizeh.
Yeah, Vizeh. It's like Viz with like an ER. Really, that's how people can say it in so many ways. I remember I was in 2016. I was in like a FIFA like tournament like Bateson and Miniminter. Simon. He did like the draw for it, and he pronounced my name as Vizeh, like a Scouser. It was like a Scouse. It was like Vizeh. It's like, and ever since then, like people just mock me for that. It's like it's not even my own fault, man.
Oh man, sad times. But yeah, mate. Honestly. Really appreciate it. Again, links to all of your stuff will be in the description so people can check you out. And we are done. I don't have an outro for this podcast. We are simply finished.
We're going to end it with your favourite type of Pringle flavour. This is a serious question.
Cheese and onion.
You mean cheese and sour cream?
No, cheese and onion.
That's not a flavour.
It is.
Sour cream and chive, isn't it?
Hang on.
Do you even know Pringle, bro?
Green
is sour cream and chive.
No, but there is. I'm sure there's cheese and onion as well. Yeah, it's cheese and onion. No.
Is that new?
I said you on the. Hang on, can I?
I will fucking fight you, mate. It doesn't exist. It's a
fabrication.
It's a Photoshop.
I've got it. Look, Pringles cheese and onion. Boom.
That must be new. Nah, it's Photoshop, bro.
Don't at me. It is.
Wait, what? Since when was that a thing? It's sour cream and chive. My life has been a lie.
I know sour cream and chive exists, but it's not cheese and onion, mate. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I'm actually pissed off now. All right, Levi, we're gonna go destroy Pringles.
Perfect time.
I don't know if that'll actually be the outro or not. It might just ends off like, are you fucking kidding me?
I'll leave it in.
We'll see.